Grief is a human experience, long before it is a religious one. It does not ask what we believe before it enters our lives. In every culture, in every faith, grief shows up with the same weight, the same silence, the same longing. Our doctrines may differ, but our tears look the same. Though I speak from a Christian perspective, this is an invitation to look around, to listen, to learn, to discover how others grieve, and to recognize the shared sacred ground beneath our feet. Grief practices may vary, but certain truths echo across faiths. Grief should not be hurried. Community plays a vital role. Ritual gives grief structure. Oro is not shameful. These shared values form a bridge. They remind us we are not alone, not only because God is with us, but because humanity carries this ache together. In Judaism, when someone dies, the family sits Shiva for 7 days. Mourners gather at home. Mirrors are covered. Visitors come not to fix, but simply to be present. There is no rush to cheer someone up. Silence is accepted. Tears are welcome. Rabbi Levin once said, "We don't rush grief, we honor it. We show up and say, 'I see your pain, and I'm not leaving.'" How often, even in Christian communities, do we try to patch over grief with cliches? Perhaps we can learn something from the restraint of sitting Shiva. Not to speak, but to be. Not to explain, but to accompany. In Islam, the early days after a death are sacred. Family and friends visit. They recite prayers. They cry together. Fatima, who lost her father, said, "We didn't try to be strong. We cried together. We remembered." That's what helped us heal. Islam teaches that grief is not weakness. It is part of faith. This communal approach reminds us we are carried not only by God, but by each other. Buddhism teaches that all life is impermanent. At first, this may sound cold, but in practice, it invites presence. Rather than resisting sorrow, Buddhists are encouraged to sit with it. Monks chant prayers for the deceased. Families meditate, to watch their grief, to be with it, to learn from it. Here, grief is not an enemy to escape, but a teacher that leads to compassion. Christianity, too, holds deep wells of wisdom. Jesus weeping at Lazarus' tomb, the Psalms of lament, the Beatitudes blessing those who mourn. And yet, in Western Christianity, we sometimes rush toward resurrection too quickly. We want the joy of the empty tomb before we've stood fully at the cross. Learning from other traditions doesn't dilute our faith, it deepens it. It expands our imagination of how God meets us. It reminds us the Spirit speaks across many languages. Tanya, a Baptist who lost her sister, began reading about grief in other cultures. "It gave me permission," she said, "permission to cry longer, to light candles, to hold grief as sacred, not shameful." She didn't leave her faith, she deepened it. "I stopped trying to grieve the right way," she said. "I started grieving my way, with God beside me." At the edge of mystery, our languages may differ. but our posture often looks the same: hands open, heads bowed, hearts aching, whether in the silence of a Quaker meeting, the chanting of monks, or communion in a small chapel. Each act is a way of reaching for the divine in our sorrow. In grief, the world narrows, and paradoxically, that narrowing can open us to a wider understanding of God. Have you witnessed or joined in grief practices from another faith? What aspects resonated with your spirit? How might they shape your own way of grieving? If you'd like to explore this wisdom in your own journey, consider attending an interfaith memorial service, even virtually. Reading about grief rituals in another tradition. Journaling about how grief has stretched or deepened your faith. Lighting a candle or saying a prayer for the world's collective grief. Grief crosses every border, and so does God's presence. You do not grieve alone, and you do not have to grieve in only one way. Let the wisdom of many voices remind you that God is bigger than we know and kinder than we imagine. And in that shared sacredness, may you find rest. If this message spoke to your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need comfort today. Together, we can walk this sacred ground. Across traditions, across grief, across hope.